Hey friends, happy Thursday. Today is Thursday, March 2nd, 2023, and boy, do I have a good update for you today. Last week there was not a vlog uploaded because I was at Quiltcon in Atlanta, and boy, did I have a blast. I'll share some of those details with you in just a couple of minutes, but before I do, I want to give you updates on the projects that I'm working on. When I uploaded my last vlog, I told you that my goals were to work on month number 2 for the Among the Stars Again block of the month. This is a sew along that I am doing with my VIP membership program on my website. And if you want to sign up for that, all of the details will be in the description box down below. I also wanted to stay current with the Jolly Bar for Quilt Along hosted by Fat Quarter Shop. I needed to make sure that I did week number 6 and week number 7 for the past 2 weeks. I got week number 6 done, but I didn't share it in a video because I didn't upload a vlog last week. So I have week number 6 in the books. It's all done, went together really easily. And I also have week number 7 done. So I am current on the Jolly Bar for Quilt Along. Originally, when I started this, I was thinking I was going to just follow the color scheme that the pattern had laid out, but as I'm getting further along in these weeks, I'm finding that it's not entirely possible. There's a lot of pieces in my Jolly Bar mix that kind of have that cream background color with a very pretty print on it. I had hoped to avoid using those because I didn't think that they would have a lot of contrast from my background fabric, but I'm down to the wire and I am running out of Jolly Bar pieces. And so now I need to start actually using some of those cream colored prints. I'm hoping that there will be enough contrast between the print and just the solid background that the blocks will still look together when they are put into the entire quilt top. I'm not going to worry about it because you know my saying, finished is better than perfect. The Among the Stars Again block of the month is an exclusive sew along that I am doing with my membership program over on my website. And if you want details on how to sign up for that, all of that will be in the description box down below. I got month number 2 done, though I will tell you I didn't actually get to do it on the Zoom. The discussion that we had on Zoom while we were sewing was so intriguing and interesting that it really held my mind captive and I wasn't able to focus on the block. So I didn't really get any sewing done on the Zoom, but after the Zoom call ended, I did put those blocks together. And you know, there's actually one more thing that I'm just now remembering. That Monday was a holiday, which meant I had the day off work. And so I got some extra sewing time that weekend and I chose to use it by pulling out some UFOs and other projects that were on my shelf and making progress on them. The one that I am quite proud of is From Dusk to Dawn. This is a kit that came in the spring of 2022 in one of the Open Gate Quilts boxes curated by Monique Jacobs. It is featuring her Dusk to Dawn batik line that I just absolutely loved. She gave us a kit to put this project together and it sat on my shelves for a very long time. And over the course of the weekend, I got it pieced, quilted, and bound and even labeled. I actually love the way this quilt turned out. It's stunning to look at, but there's really not a very complex technique. The fabric is what makes that project shine. And I am also really excited because my Quilt Guild is having a quilt show March 31st to April 1st, and I have entered 2 quilts into the show. The first one is the Spring Chicken quilt. You guys have seen this on my channel before. This is a quilt that I put together using the Spring Chicken fabric by Sweetwater Fabrics, following the New Year's Star pattern from Jordan Fabrics. After I pieced everything together, I passed it off to Tucker, and he did a heck of a job quilting it. This is a collab quilt that we're going to enter into my guild show, and I hope everybody loves seeing that quilt. I have also entered From Dusk to Dawn into the quilt show just because I think it's really pretty to look at and I want everybody to see it. Oh yeah, and speaking of open gates, I also finished the main project from the February 2023 open gate box. This quilt top is absolutely beautiful and it's really just black and white and I love the way it looks. It's kind of funny. I belong to 2 quilt guilds and both of them do a quilt show. There's one in the spring and then there's another one in the fall or at the end of summer. And the one that's coming up in March, a couple of months ago, the Quilt Guild put out a call to register your quilt for the quilt show. And I thought, I only have one. I'm just going to register that. It was the spring chicken quilt, and I was pretty sure I did not have any other quilt that I could put into a quilt show. But on Monday, since I had the day off work, I spent some time kind of putting things away and organizing the room a little bit. And I found all of these other quilts and I realized those could have gone into a show as well. So I took time to photograph each and every one of those quilts so that the next time I am asked to register a quilt for a quilt show, I'll have the pictures on hand. But also now I have a catalog of quilts that I have completed and are ready to be displayed in a quilt show. And I realized I have many quilts that could go into a quilt show. Are they the most intricate, perfect quilts, and are they all deserving of a blue ribbon? No, but they're fun and they're pretty to look at, and sometimes that's the only reason I'm going to enter a quilt into a quilt show, just so that you can see what I get to see when I look at it. You know, that's actually the mindset that I am clinging to with the quilts that I entered into my guild's quilt show. I'm not looking to get a ribbon out of this. I am simply just looking to share the quilts that I made and I'm particularly proud of with others. I want them to see the product and the quilt that I was able to create. That's it. If I get a ribbon, bonus. But if I don't, I'm still happy just having people see my quilt. It's kind of like a fancy show and tell, right? This next week, I've got some goals for myself. Obviously, I want to stay caught up on the Jelly Bar 4 Quilt Along, so I'm going to work on week number 8. I also want to add all of the sashing to all of my blocks in the Atomic Starburst quilt. If you remember, this is the quilt that I'm putting together by Violet Craft. I'll link the pattern in the description box below. I'm using the Dusk to Dawn Batiks fabric for this, and I can't wait to see what it looks like when it's done. I also want to do some quilting. So I've got a few quilts that I want to load onto the long arm and get those quilted so that I can get them bound. I think one of them that I'm thinking about is that main project from the February 2023 Open Gate Quilts box. I feel like that's going to be a great candidate for some ruler work, and I want to get that loaded. I also have been putting off quilting the Scrappy Love quilt. This was the project from the February, I think, Ginger Quilter box. It's just a bunch of really pretty pink squares. I want to get that loaded and get that quilted as well. So if I can have both of those quilts quilted by this time next week, I'll consider that a success. Those are the project updates. Let's talk about Quiltcon. Quiltcon was amazing, and I am working on a video where I share with you some of my favorite quilts from the show. I didn't get to see every quilt, but I did see many of them. And the reason for that is because I did not realize until the last day I was there that there was an entire floor dedicated to showcasing all of these beautiful quilts. Lesson learned for next year. But I did get to meet so many of you that stopped by. You said hi, you gave me a hug, we fist bumped, we took pictures together, and that touched my heart more than anything else at Quiltcon. I did do some shopping though. My bank account is not quite happy with me, but I have been saving up for this for a while. I bought a little bit of fabric, and if I'm being completely honest with you, 99% of the fabric that I bought is Tula Pink, which surprises me. I bought a quilt kit for the Tula Pink butterfly. I've been eyeballing that for a minute, and Crimson Tate had that 30% off, and I could not resist, especially when I learned that they only had 2. I walked away to consider it, and when I came back, there was just 1 left. So it's like, that was meant for me. There are 2 other categories of things that I bought that I'm kind of surprised about, if I'm being honest with you. The first one is rulers. If you've been around my channel at all, you know I am a creative grids girl. Those are the rulers that I have been using forever. I love them. I talk about them. They're great. And then I got to put my hands on a Quilter Select ruler, and OMG, these things are game changer. The fabric does not shift underneath the ruler because of the coating that's on the bottom of the ruler. It was just mind-boggling. So I bought 3 rulers. I bought a 10-inch ruler, a 5-inch ruler, and a 6-inch by 12-inch ruler. Between those 3 rulers, number one, they were kind of pricey, but number two, I should be able to do just about any cut that I need. And if I can't do it with those, I can always go back to my creative grids. I think long term, I'm probably going to look at switching from creative grids to Quilter Select, but that is a long term goal and I don't need to do it all at once. One ruler at a time is perfectly fine. The other thing that I invested in was some embroidery. I know, handwork. It's not what I would normally do, and you're probably as surprised about it as I am, but I got to sit at the Spoonflower booth and do a hand embroidered name tag that I got to wear around Quiltcon, which was a lot of fun, and it basically spoke to me. This has been something that I've been thinking about doing for a while, but I keep feeling like the stitches are too complicated and it's not something I could do. And I realized that's not true. The stitches are kind of fun, and it is really nice to have a small portable project that I can work on anywhere. I just got to pick up the little bag that has my hoop with my project in it, some floss and a needle, and maybe a pair of snips, and I'm good to go. So I got several beginner embroidery kits, and I cannot wait to make some progress on them. I did register for lots of workshops at Quiltcon, and I was actually only able to attend 3, and I passed the other 2 on to somebody else that could go. I attended the name badge workshop, an improv piecing workshop, and then a hand embroidery workshop as well. The hand embroidery workshop was okay, but by the time I had attended the class, I had already kind of picked up how to make some of the stitches, and I would have rather worked on the project that was in the hoop rather than the canvas bag that was a part of the workshop. But the instruction was phenomenal. The improv piecing class was by far my favorite. I loved doing this. A lady by the name of Emily Lang taught the class, and I will link her social media in the description box below if you want to check her out. The class was a blast, but I will say, because I don't have tons of scraps, which is what we needed for this class, my blocks were not as scrappy as they could have been. I just grabbed all of my Dusk to Dawn batik scraps from the Atomic Starburst quilt and decided I was going to work with that, but there really wasn't enough variety there to do the things that I wanted to do. So I made a couple of scrappy blocks and then called it a day. If you're interested in more updates about Quiltcon, make sure to tune in to the live stream on Friday, March 3rd, 2023, because Sean from The Guy Who Sews will be here talking about the Mid-Atlantic Quilt Festival that he went to last weekend, and I'll be sharing some of the stories about Quiltcon. Also, over the next week or so, I'll be compiling a video showcasing all of those quilts that really spoke to me at the show, so you'll want to keep your eyes peeled for that too. Thank you, friends, for tuning in, and I'll see you guys all in my vlog next week. Bye!